Sustainable tourism, a cultural heritage tourism. The introduction, as the term implies, cultural heritage tourism involves visiting places that are significant to the past or present cultural identity of a particular group of people. In the United States, America's rich history has created a vibrant and complex patchwork of cultural heritage. Americans are accustomed to an array of compound identities: African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, Native Americans, that jointly indicate the communities from which they come and the nation they now share. Culture is the characteristic and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. The word culture derives from a French term which in turn derived from the Latin culere, which means to tend to the earth and grow, or cultivation and nurture it, shares its etymology with a number of other words related to actively fostering growth. So creators can be understood as a system of symbols and meaning that even their creators contest, that lack fixed boundaries, that are constantly in the flux, and that interact and compete with one another. Cultural tourism is a type of tourism that allows the tourist to participate in local cultural activities like festivals and rituals. As a result, the tourist can enjoy a genuine cultural exchange with the locals. Cultural tourism has a positive economic impact in the destination and can help underserved communities to thrive and flourish. And it helps preserve the local culture while allowing communities to emphasize the uniqueness of their culture to differentiate it from other locations. And according to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, cultural tourism is movements of persons for essentially cultural motivations such as study tours, performing arts, and cultural tours, travel to festivals and other cultural events, visit to sites and monuments, travel to study tours, folklore or art, and pilgrimage. Cultural tourist or cultural travel is a type of travel that emphasizes experiencing life with a foreign culture rather than from outside as a temporary visitor. Cultural travelers leave their home environment at home, bringing only themselves and desire to become part of the culture they visit. Cultural visitors can be classified into the following categories: the purposeful cultural tourist or culture vulture. Cultural tourism is primary motive for visiting a destination and the tourist has a deep culture experience. The sightseeing cultural tourist. Cultural tourism is a primary reason for experiencing a destination, but the experience is least deep. The serendipitous cultural tourist, a tourist who does not travel for cultural reason but who, after participating, ends up having a cultural experience. The casual cultural tourist. Cultural tourism is a weak motive for travel and resulting experience is a swallow. The incidental cultural tourist. The tourist does not travel for cultural reason but nonetheless participates in some activities and has swallow experiences. Cultural heritage and tourism. Tourism has grown an accelerated pace over the last few decades and forecasts indicate an ever faster rate of growth into new millennium, with Asia and the Pacific becoming the second most important tourism destination of the world by 2020. One of the pillars of tourism industry has been mankind's inherent desire to see and learn about cultural identity of different parts of the world. In domestic tourism, cultural heritage stimulates national pride in one's history. In international tourism, cultural heritage stimulates a respect and understanding of other culture and, as a consequence, promotes peace and understanding. The Asia-Pacific continent is most deserved in terms of cultural heritage. It has been the birthplace all of the world's major religions: Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and Taoism, and great many of its minor ones. Cultural heritage attractions. Heritage tourism involves cultural travel to sites that in some way represent or celebrate an area, community, or people's history, identity, or inheritance. Heritage attractions are typically divided into three categories: natural, cultural, and built or mixed. And natural means properties are sites of intense beauty that maintain the environmental balance of a region or the world, or sites that show of unique geological origin that was made from the formation of the earth. Cultural properties are man-made and demonstrate the highest achievement of human thought and creativity. And there are also mixed properties called cultural landscape on the World Heritage List. The combined outstanding natural and cultural values resulting from constant interaction between people and natural environment. And these are the cultural heritage attractions. Puerto Princesa Septenarian River National Park lies in St. Paul mountain range of 81 kilometers from the center of Puerto Princesa City. The park is natural wonder. Its geological features are unique and Septenarian River is said to be among the longest in the world, measuring up to 8.2 kilometers. Next, the Banawi Rice Terraces. Among the World Heritage Sites in the Philippines, the rice terraces of the Philippines Cordilleras have such a powerful presence that makes them one of the most outstanding places in the country. Lying high in the Cordillera mountain range, their setting cannot be replaced anywhere in the lowland tropical landscape of the Philippines. Historic city of Vigan. During the height of Spanish colonial era in the 18th and 19th century, Vigan or Ciudad Fernandina de Vigan was the third most important city after Manpower, Nila, and Cebu. It was the center of Spanish colonial in the northern Luzon. The range structures all on the plazas and street reveals the story of the town. The San Agustin Church in Puay began its constructions in 1604 and finally completed in 1710. This is one of the most outstanding earthwork barrack structure in the Philippines, where the primary concern was the design of the church for earthwork protection. Nuestra Señora de la Asunción. The following fully the traditional Spanish urban town plan, situating the church of the focus of the central town plaza. The location of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción Church and Convent into Santa Maria. Ilocos standing along the crown of freestanding hill encircled by a stone retaining wall gives its a tiled appearance. Its appearance evoked Mediterranean hill town, the only example of such in the Santo Tomas de la Villanueva Church. Built of local yellow-orange sandstone, the large fortress church was completed in 1797. The church withstood typhoons and earthquakes, but it burned twice. First was during the revolution against Spain in 1898. And the second was during the Philippine-American War a few years later. Heritage sites. The recognition gently helps identify Filipino heritage sites that highlight our culture and the wonders of nature. But more than giving identity, it also helps in the preservation and protection of those man-made structures and natural wonder. The 9 most visited UNESCO World Heritage Site in the Philippines. Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary, Church of Santo Tomas de Villanueva, Church of Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, Puay Church, Church of San Agustin in Manila, Historic City of Vigan, Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, Tubata National Park, Rice Terraces of the Philippines Cordilleras.
Cultural heritage and natural history of a nation has a very high value and is unique. Culture and its heritage reflect ancient values, beliefs, and aspirations, thereby defining a people's national identity. It is important to preserve our cultural heritage because it keeps our integrity as a people. The Banawi Rice Terraces, or in Filipino, Hagdan-Hagdang Palayan ng Banawi, are terraces that were carved into the mountains of Banawi, Ifugao in the Philippines by the ancestors of the Igorot people. The terraces are occasionally called the Eighth Wonder of the world. The Tubataha National Park, also known as the Tubataha Reefs National Park, is a protected area of the Philippines located in the middle of the Sulu Sea. It is the most biodiverse scuba diving destinations in the Philippines. Diving Tubataha Reef is famous for its incredible marine biodiversity, dynamic underwater terrain, and a wide variety of large marine animals including sea turtles, manta rays, and various shark species. Puerto Princesa in Palawan is most famous for the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River National Park, or the Underground River, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and holds a place in the new Seven Wonders of Nature. It is also the gateway to famous paradise-like destinations in Palawan like El Nido and San Vicente, because it has its own international airport, but there's more to Puerto Princesa than being just a jump-off site and locations to the famous national wonder. Vigan is a city in the Philippines on the west coast of Luzon Islands. It's known for its preserved Spanish colonial and Asian architecture. Cali Crisologo dominates the Mestizo district with its cobblestone streets, mill-foot, horse-drawn carriage, and rustic mansions. Near the White Baroque Vigan Cathedral are Plaza Salcido, offering fountain light shows, and Plaza Burgos, known for its street food stalls. San Agustin Church is also known as the Archdiocesan Shrine of Nuestra Señora de la Consolaciones, a Korea, or the Immaculate Conception's Parish, is a Roman Catholic church under the auspices of the Order of the St. Augustine, located inside the historic walled city of the Intramuros in Manila. Completed in 1607, it is the oldest stone church in the country. San Agustin Church, Manila is an inscribed UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the 1993, under the Serial Declarations of the Baroque Churches of the Philippines, together with three churches in Paway in Ilocos Norte, Santa Maria in Ilocos Sur, and Miagao in Iloilo. The St. Augustine Church is also known as the Paway Church, is a Roman Catholic church in the municipality of Paway, Ilocos Norte in the Philippines. Completed in 1710, the church is famous for its distinct architecture, highlighted by the enormous buttresses on the sides and back of the building. It is declared as a national cultural treasure by the Philippine government in 1973 and a UNESCO World Heritage Site under the collective group of Baroque churches of the Philippines in 1993. Ilocos region is one of the most beautiful places in the Philippines that is both full of magnificent natural beauty and rich preserved colonial era cultural sites. It is home to two UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which are the Bigan City in Ilocos Sur and Paway Church in Ilocos Norte. The Church of Our Lady of Assumptions, commonly known as the Santa Maria Church in the Parish Church of Santa Maria in Ilocos Sur Province, Philippines. The church was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site on December 11, 1993 as part of the Baroque Churches of the Philippines, a collection of four Baroque Spanish-era churches. The Miagao Church, also known as the Santo Tomas de Villanueva Parish Church, is a Roman Catholic church located in Miagao, Iloilo, Philippines. The church was declared as a UNESCO World Heritage Site on December 11, 1993, together with San Agustin Church in Manila, Nuestra Señora de la Asunción Church in Santa Maria in Ilocos Sur, and San Agustin Church in Paway in Ilocos Norte, under the collective title Baroque Churches of the Philippines, a collection of four Baroque Spanish-era churches. The Mount Hamiguitan Range, with an area of 6,834 hectares, was declared a national park and a wildlife sanctuary in 2003. In 2014, the park was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, becoming the first in the Mindanao and the sixth in the Philippines. Mount Hamiguitan is a part of the Eastern Mindanao Biodiversity Corridor. Conservation of the mountain range is a multi-sectoral effort that involving the provincial government of Davao Oriental, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, local communities, and indigenous people. Indigenous tourism in the Philippines, a country where the ancient still thrive, is enticing travelers to come and experience its native culture firsthand. The tourism bureau is shining the light on authentic engagement with local communities, which includes visits to tribal villages. Many of the tribes continue to express their culture through woven cloth and elaborate traditional costumes that they continue to wear today. One such tribe is the Bajau, which resides the islands of Sulu in the southern part of the country. Aside from living their lives off of the sea, they're known for their artistically woven cloth and colorful silks. The majority of the Bajau practice Islam and continue to perform traditional songs and dance. Nature and culture converge in many ways that span values, beliefs, and norms to practices, livelihoods, knowledge, and languages. As a result, there exists a mutual feedback between cultural system and the environment, with a shift in one often leading to a change in the other. For example, knowledge evolved with the ecosystems upon which they are based, and language contain words describing ecosystem components. If plants or animals are lost, then the words used to describe them are often lost shortly afterwards. And this changes the way the natural environment is shaped by the practices of those human communities. Nature provides the setting in which cultural processes, activities, and belief systems develop, all of which feed back to shape biodiversity. There are four key bridges linking nature with culture, beliefs and worldviews, livelihoods and practices, knowledge bases and norms and institutions. Cultural diversity is about appreciating that society is made up of many different groups with different interests, skills, talents, and needs. It also means that you recognize that people in society can have different religious beliefs and sexual orientations. It's no surprise that the Philippines is on everyone's bucket list of must-visit countries. The country has so much to offer, from pristine beaches and natural wonders to historical and cultural sites. Whether it's century-old structures, breathtaking mountains, thriving coral reefs, or the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Philippines, indeed, is full of places everyone just has to see. The recognition greatly helps identify Filipino heritage sites that highlight our culture and the wonders of nature, but more than giving an identity, it also helps in the preservation and protection of these man-made structures and natural wonders.